The night Lily came into the world was etched in my memory like a bittersweet dream. Moonlight filtered through the curtains, casting an otherworldly glow across the hospital room. Holding my newborn daughter, I marveled at her tiny fingers and the weight of the new responsibility I held in my arms. But that night, the joy of motherhood would be overshadowed by an eerie encounter that still sends shivers down my spine. During our first night, around 8 p.m., I was drifting off to sleep when I saw a janitor and 2 nurses come into my room. The janitor walked across the room and sat down on the pull-out bed, while the nurses stood leaning against the wall and the round table. For some reason, I couldn't open my eyes fully to see them. My eyelids felt heavy, as if I was in a trance or night paralysis. I could hear them clearly. They were talking about someone's promotion and laughing. One of the nurses turned to me and asked, "Do you think that's funny too?" Just as I was about to ask who they were, the heaviness of my eyelids lifted, and I looked around only to find myself in the room alone. It was dark outside and the lights above my headboard were on. What the hell? I thought to myself. I looked and saw my baby sleeping soundly in the bassinet next to me. Okay, it was just a dream, I thought, even though it felt very real. The next night, as I was feeding my baby, the nurse came in to ask if I needed anything. "No, thank you, I'm doing good," I told her. She finished her tasks and left. I felt a chill swept through the room, making me pull the blankets tighter around Lily. I thought it was the draft from the door. It was 12:40 a.m. About 15 minutes later, a whisper, soft and barely audible, seemed to emerge from the shadow in the corner of our room. My heart raced as I strained to listen, convinced that my fatigued mind was playing tricks on me. But the whispers persisted, growing more distinct, their mournful tone filling the air. Unnerved, I placed Lily in her hospital bassinet and slowly approached the corner from which the unsettling sounds emanated. The room felt heavy with an inexplicable sorrow, and as I gazed into the darkness, a figure materialized before me. A woman, her appearance hazy and ethereal, stood before my eyes. Fear gripped me as I watched the ghostly figure's lips move. The figure stood there for a moment before vanishing into thin air. My heart raced, a mixture of anxiety and terror swirling within me. I had never believed in ghosts, but the undeniable presence before me shattered my skepticism. I stammered, "Nurse, nurse," as I made my way back to the bed. I started looking for the nurse call button. I heard a whisper, and I looked up to see a woman's pale, ghostly face peeking from behind the head of the bed. My blood ran cold, and my only thoughts were to run. So I screamed and grabbed my baby from the hospital bassinet. Then I tripped on the bedsheet and down I went, onto the ground. Sitting there, I looked up at the apparition. My voice was gone. I couldn't speak. I was torn between my instinct to flee and the growing pain of my surgical incision from my cesarean section. In an instant, she was gone, leaving me in a mental state filled with a mixture of confusion, panic and pain. The nurse came running into my room to find me clutching onto Lily in my arms and on the ground. She called for backup and they helped me off the floor. My doctor was paged and I was evaluated. I called my husband at home and told him what happened. He rushed to the hospital. At this point, I'm refusing to stay in that room and was switched to another room. The next day, I requested to be discharged immediately. Once medically cleared, I left the hospital, vowing never to return to that same room. The whispers, the ghostly encounter, it all felt like a chapter from a terrifying tale.